If you have a gut feeling that you're selling yourself short and you know you could do better, and deep down you're looking to become the person that you were meant to be, look closer to home. Many of us have people deeply entrenched in our lives, hardwired to the point of being camouflaged, who for reasons of their own undermine any attempt we make to improve ourselves. Oftentimes, these people are family, friends, work colleagues. The techniques they use? Well, one of them is, if you're enthusiastic about any plan that will take you outside of their zone of influence, they'll pour cold water on it. And they don't have to reveal themselves by saying anything obviously negative. They'll simply suck all the oxygen out of your plan by meeting it with complete silence, because they're expert in the use of silence as a weapon. Or they'll change the subject. And if they do say something, it'll be something like, "Oh, maybe, we'll see, possibly." They can't imagine doing it themselves, and they're damn sure they don't want you doing it. They'll never endorse what you're trying to do. And they'll always be suspicious of anybody praising you or encouraging you to be somebody they don't want you to be. Anybody trying to encourage you is a threat to their position. And the tactics they employ will be to poison your mind against that person and say they have an ulterior motive for praising you. And if you are around anybody regularly that laughs at your attempts, puts you down, and is always negative about any form of positive movement that you're trying to achieve, those, my friend, are red flags. The real problem is, if somebody's hardwired into your life from day one, you won't see the red flags. And this was brought home to me when an acquaintance, a woman in her 60s, came to my home, and we were having a few drinks in the garden. And in the first 10 minutes of that conversation, she said several negative things about herself. "I'm stupid, I'm incompetent." And as she'd done this before, I kind of picked up on it. And I said to her, "Why do you say these things about yourself?" "Because they're not true. You brought up your children, you have a good job, you're well spoken, well dressed." And she thought for a while, and eventually she began talking about her mother and her sister. Her mother was the real problem. She'd been putting her down for years. And to make matters worse, she trained her sister to do the same thing. And I know her sister, an unpleasant, aggressive bully. For the next 2 hours, she spoke non-stop about her mother and her sister and the poisonous effects that it had on her entire life. And she was in her 60s. Eventually, she stood up to bid me goodbye. And she said, almost laughterful, "I'm going on a cruise tomorrow." I said, "Oh, lovely. Who are you going with?" You've guessed, her mother and her sister. The scary thing is, she's got used to the pain. It's a bit like somebody standing on your foot for years, and it's only when they take their foot off of yours you realise how much agony you bring in. But this is not the end of the story. I didn't see her for almost a year, and then we crossed paths. We were both on our way to a salsa event, and the first thing she said to me was, "Clyde, I woke up this morning and I felt incredibly happy. Where's this sense of elation, this happiness coming from?" And then I remembered, I hardly speak with my mother, I don't speak with my sister at all. And I couldn't help thinking, imagine how different her life would have been if she'd realised 40 years ago that her sister and her mum were her enemies. It's not easy to come to terms with the fact that our nearest and dearest, who should be our greatest supporters, are little more than snakes in the grass. And it's even more difficult to deal with when we look at people around us and see that their nearest and dearest are their greatest supporters. I have found out one of the most dangerous things that we can do to ourselves is to choose not to see. Choosing not to act is another subtle mechanism our brain uses to help us avoid people and things that we do not want to confront. But choosing not to act is a choice within itself. You're choosing not to acknowledge what all too often is in plain sight. And if you do it for long enough, you're sending your tormentor a continuous message that they have the right to undermine you, sabotage you, put you down, and a day will come in your relationship where you will become their official toilet. A few years ago, I did a gig on New Year's Eve. It was a really good gig. I was having some banter with these two girls because I was on and off stage throughout the course of the evening as a compere. A little bit later, one of the girls returned back to me on her own and said that she liked me, she liked my performance, and would I take her phone number? And she actually said that she didn't want to offer me her phone number in front of her friend because her friend always messes things up for her. That's what she said. She always messes things up for me. Anyway, at the end of the evening, two women came back to me and asked me if I would give them a lift back into London, which I agreed. On the journey back home, the so-called friend did nothing but insult and humiliate her, and she sat there in silence because she got used to the pain, and she got used to her role as the toilet, because she actually said earlier on, she always messes things up for me, and this is the person she was quite happy to socialise with. There are some of you out there that will recognise the relationships that I've been talking about and will have a genuine aha or light bulb moment. And the moment you have this light bulb moment, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to feel very stupid, because you let them do it to you. And the next feeling you're going to have is anger, great anger, as all the pieces fit together and you start to feel and calculate the amount of pain that you've been in over a long period of time. And there are some of you out there that are going to want them to feel real life physical pain. And I would say, what's the point? What's the point? Because you didn't become their toilet in a day, a week, a month. Over a long period of time, you sent them the message that they could treat you that way. There'd be no consequences, and you'd always be there with your tongue hanging out for their company. Now, amongst you out there, there will be people who are very strong, who've had this aha moment, who can sit, reflect, and decide to go cold turkey on them and cut them off immediately. Get on the phone and say, go away, go far away, goodbye forever. But for others, it's not going to be that easy to go cold turkey on them, because they've got you locked into a nasty, poisonous world, similar to a drug addict. You're going to have to wean yourself off them slowly. One of the dangers of trying to wean yourself out of this situation step by step is that their observational radar, as far as you are concerned, is extremely sophisticated. And they will pick up on any signs that you are attempting to backtrack or move away from the status quo, because the whole situation is warped. And if they think for 1 minute that you're trying to backtrack or walk away, they're not going to have a rational mentality. They're not going to think, I've used and abused them over a long period of time, maybe they need a break, maybe I should go easy on them. No, they're not going to think that at all. They're going to think, who the hell do you think you are? Why don't you want to be my toilet anymore? Where am I going to find another toilet at short notice? You're being so selfish. The whole situation is warped. But you don't need them. You never did. All you have to do now is prove that to yourself. One of the ways in which you can do that is to choose not to answer some of their phone calls. Just let it ring. And maybe pull out of a couple of meetings that you had with them at the last moment. Oh, come on. And these subtle changes will not be lost on them. They'll pick up on them straight away. And the first thing they're going to do, I warn you, is try to use massive emotional blackmail to drag you back in. Oh, my children miss you. Remember the good times we had together? You're going to be lonely without me. Don't listen to any of it. They'll waste your life with honey in their forked tongue. I know it's a cliche, but who we have in our lives, especially at an early stage, it's a profound impact on how, when, and if we succeed. An example of this in my own life was when I met my mother for the first time in my early 30s. It was an emotional time, and after we got to know each other, I found out that she was a student of human behaviour, a subject that has fascinated me my whole life. She organised a party for my birthday, and after the party she said, "Clyde, I've been watching you, and I've noticed you're very different one-to-one than when you're with a group of people. Perhaps you're a frustrated performer. Maybe you should try stand-up comedy." And I never thought of that. Myself as a comedian, I'd been to comedy clubs, I liked laughing, I was interested in comedians. And as the weeks went by, the more I dwelt on it, the more I liked the sound of it. Clyde West comedian. Clyde West stand-up comedian. And I was quite excited by the idea. And I thought, well, let me share that with my friends. Anyway, I told a particular friend of mine at the time that I was thinking about trying to become a comedian. And he said, "You mean like a clown? You look ridiculous." I said, no, not a clown, a comedian. Another friend said, "But you're not funny, you'll be booed off." And then another so-called friend said, "You, a stand-up comedian? You look more like a nightclub bouncer." Anyway, I wasn't put off by the negativity, and I took my first steps into the comedy world. Very tough. Every time you make a mistake, you are humiliated in public, and you've got to be tough. Especially in the early days, because becoming a comedian is one massive learning curve. Anyway, as the weeks and months went by, I stuck at it. I had some good gigs and some terrible gigs. But you know, the good times made up for the times when it didn't work. And I stuck with it. And after about 2 or 3 years, me coming from a business background, I very quickly realised a comedian can only be in one place earning money at any one time. And it became obvious, if you controlled the work, you controlled the people. And the people that did control the work, you had to kiss their ass. And quite frankly, I got tired of kissing their ass. So a day came where I decided to start my own comedy agency. In other words, supplying comedians for corporate events, comedy nights, which I did. And I became a small-time power broker. People had to come to me. As my agency got up and running, I was now able to supply myself and others with work. Anyway, I found out that people who used to badmouth me, now all of a sudden wanted to become my friend. And lo and behold, I was having to kiss less and less ass. And I am here to tell you, it's a lot more fun when they have to kiss your ass than the other way round. I know this sounds harsh, but that's how it is. Anyway, out of the blue, an agent called me and asked me if I could supply him with some comedians for a particular event he was holding, which I did. Afterwards he called me and he asked me, "Why do you only supply comedians?" And I said to him, "I don't know anything about other forms of acts." And he asked me a question, "Do you know how to promote and sell comedians?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, other acts are no different." And then in a short period of time, he was able to give me a blueprint and the know-how of how to access other types of acts. And within 6 months, my agency had morphed into a across-the-board entertainment agency. Now I'm supplying singers and dancers and tribute artists, hypnotists, caricaturists, and men dressed in women's clothing with lipstick entertaining the public, drag artists. If somebody told me 9 months before that I would be making money from drag artists, I would have been amazed. And I tell you all this to show you the contrast of what people can bring into your life. My mother, bless her heart, came into my life late. And with her, she brought an idea which transformed my entire life. And for the next 35 years, I went around the country making people laugh. And there were nights when it didn't go so well, to say the least. But I had thousands of nights where I had a fantastic time. People enjoyed what I was doing. I met famous people. I met all kind of interesting people. I met people that wanted to know me. And it was a wonderful time. Many times I'd drive home in the car late at night, listening to the tape of what had happened earlier on that evening. I also supplied comedians and many other types of acts with work over an extended period of time. Now, if you contrast what my mother did with the impact and influence from my so-called friends at the time, when I told them I wanted to become a comedian, they ridiculed me, poured scorn and poison upon what I was trying to achieve. And had I listened to them, they would have poisoned the baby at birth. And all of the exciting things that happened to me, and all of the things that I did, would never have happened. And that's why I'm saying, who we have in our lives on a continuous basis, especially at an early stage, can have a profound impact on the direction of our lives. If you like this video and you like more, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and I would love to hear your comments in the comment section. The final thing I'd like to say is this: we only have a short life, and if you choose not to see, you only have yourself to blame. Believe you me, I know. Thanks for watching this video, and I will be making more, but please, please, please also try my collection of short and audio stories. Just head to my website, clyde-west.com, by clicking on the link below.